About your business, how you started, and
That's a long story. So, my name is Bob Henig. I started the business in 1981. They took me in. They rented me a car for the night because it was a BMW car and motorcycle dealership.
please, Bob, introduce yourself and tell us about your business.
So I bring fun to people's lives. That's always been the mission of Bob's BMW, and before Bob's BMW, Bob's Used Parts. So, my name is Bob Henig. I started the business in 1981 as a used parts specialist. Nobody was selling used parts as a business, and nobody was guaranteeing the used parts that they were selling. You might buy them at a flea market, you might buy them from a magazine ad, but sometimes they fit, sometimes they didn't. Sometimes they were the right size, but there was a dent where there wasn't supposed to be a dent. It was a very haphazard way for people to do things. So I saw an opportunity, just with BMW motorcycles, because that's what I rode, to guarantee all the used parts. So for roughly 10 years before Bob's Used Parts became Bob's BMW, we took apart mostly good used motorcycles. And we weren't just shipping, giving things to customers locally. I was shipping things to customers all over the country.
All the country.
Because most dealers, even if you bought a motorcycle from them, would not mail you an oil filter. They weren't in that business.
Can you send the parts in Canada or Mexico or different countries?
Very early on, we began to ship all over this continent and then around the world.
No problem.
So because sometimes I had a used part that somebody in Germany where they made the motorcycles new didn't have, because it was used. So we shipped parts to Russia, where you're from, several times. But there probably isn't a country in the world that we haven't shipped things to many times. When you're building a business, you put a lot of hours. In the early days, it was 7 days a week. As long as I was around, I would answer the phone. And so over the years, there were requests for us to move on to service motorcycles, to sell new motorcycles. We sold a few used ones. I had a used motorcycle dealer's license, but I initially didn't want to be a new BMW motorcycle dealer. It was our customers and a couple of people that wanted to work for me, and BMW at the time put lots of pressure for us to become a dealer. And I was a fiercely independent business person. I still am. Again, the goal was we'll be able to do an even bigger parts business, service our customers even quicker. We'll get to sell some new motorcycles. We'll get to service lots of motorcycles. In our first year.
BMW.
Hey, Bob, how you doing?
Different
Good.
model.
Bought a battery a couple months ago.
Hope it's still good. And so all of a sudden we sold 54 motorcycles our very first year, 28 years ago. All of a sudden we're in the top 10 of BMW motorcycles in our very first year. But our main goal is that everyone does this motorcycle thing for fun. So our main goal is to make sure people are having fun with their motorcycles. Whether it's a used motorcycle they already own, whether they're looking to buy a used motorcycle, whether they need help selecting which new motorcycle. You know, the mail order business has become e-commerce. We not only do service, we do restorations back to 1950, even though there's older motorcycles in our museum. But in today's world, most dealers, motorcycles and cars, only work on bikes maybe 10 or 15, 20 years sometimes. Every day we work on bikes as old as 1950. We keep the parts in stock. Our technicians know how to work on them.
Shape.
We have all the tools. We have lots of customers that ride old bikes.
I want to ask you, why BMW? Not
okay.
Yamaha, not Honda?
My very first motorcycle was a Suzuki TS250. I bought it new in 1972 because for the 3 years before that, while I was in high school, I rode my friend's TS250. So it was what I knew. He hardly ever rode the bike, and he taught me. He was a terrible teacher, but I learned and got better. And one of my best friends in high school, his brother-in-law, had a BMW motorcycle, and I would see it often. And I was always intrigued by it. Looked different than everyone else's. The cylinders sticking out. It was black. I just liked the look. I liked the sound. One of my customers had told me about that event. You know, I didn't know there was a local BMW club. So Greg introduced me to all these things.
Like I do right now.
Right.
I never heard about this event, but
and all of a sudden, a few years later, when I crashed a motorcycle, and I did a lot of damage to neck, back, shoulder, just a lot of soft tissue damage and some structural damage to my shoulder. My surgeon said if you were smart, will not be carrying lumber and building materials, because that was the company I was running. And the 50-pound camera bag you have, that may not be too good either. And so the only other love that I had in my life was motorcycles. And so that's when Bob's Used Parts came to me, and just sort of ran from there. So, but it was the people that I met that said this could be something of interest. You know, I kept meeting one good person after another. I went to other BMW rallies, and it was always fun, always good people, always honest people. So it brings mental balance to the world.
Yeah.
It's stress management. It's so many things. You know, you're alone, and then you're together with people. You know, you stop for gas. I've met 24 interesting and fun people on this trip, at least just getting gas. You know, you meet people when you stop for breakfast, or when you stop for dinner, or you're staying the night. I visited some friends along the way also, but the motorcycling thing is just wonderful. It's a shame that in this country only 5% of the population rides, because I imagine that I think a lot of people would be happier and the roads would be a better place to travel if 95% of the people rode a motorcycle.
And I want to ask you about the family.
Okay.
As I heard, your son is riding.
Yep.
You have a daughter?
Just one son.
Just one son.
Yep.
He is, of course, riding.
He rides, but he is not in this business. He is a professional barber in Baltimore, Maryland. He works for a company called the Quintessential Gentleman, or the QG. He is very good at what he does. He loves what he does. He wanted my parents let me follow my path, so he got to follow his path. And he's doing well, and he's happy. And
people must do what they really want to do.
As parents, you can't ask for anything more than kids that grow up to be happy and can take care of themselves. But we hope that we are able to take care of all the people in our area and as many people around the country that don't have a good relationship with their dealer, don't get good service, because we can put parts in the hands of a customer 3,000 miles away quicker than the dealer that is close by, because we keep such a big inventory on hand. I've long believed that all motorcyclists, sometimes people take 1 hour to make a decision, sometimes a day, sometimes a week, sometimes a month. I think the record for one of our customers finally deciding to buy a bike was about 10 years. But when we make those decisions, right now is when we want them. So if you don't have what they want, you can't make them happy. When I started my business, I said, when people are traveling through, when people have a real emergency, we have to do everything possible. We stay late, we ask other customers if we can have some time, whatever we have to do. And on this trip, this is the 1985 motorcycle. It's in very good shape, but as a sidecar, it works very hard. I ride it fast and climb the mountains and the passes.
A lot of bugs.
A lot of bugs. I had a fuel injection relay, and the dealership got me taken care of on hours they were closed. And then when I was going into Canada, I was already visiting a dealer just to say hello, because it's a big shop and I hadn't been there before. I like to visit. I visited 5 or 6 dealers on this so far 3,300 mile trip. But the next day I was on the road at 2:30 and I showed up 15 minutes before they closed the night before. So they took very good care of me. I get to bring that example back to my staff and said, I know you do this for customers all the time, but we're not the only ones, and it's so good to be well cared for in the manner that you want to care for people.
That's what people like.
Right. I don't hear those stories too often from the people that ride the other brands, but I hear those stories often in the BMW community. So I think it's the best in the world.
Agree.
Agreed.
People tap the bobsbmw.com and bought the best parts in the world.
And the last plug I'll put in there, if you find yourself near the Washington, D.C., Baltimore area, we're in Jessup, Maryland. We have an honest-to-God museum with almost 80 BMW motorcycles and all the wall art and fun things in display cases, open on Saturdays.
When I'll be there, I make some videos, 100%.
I look forward to that fun as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.